Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Japanaholic podcast surrounded by topics all about Japan, anime, and games, discussed by one certified Japanaholic. I'm your host, Taylor Frey, and in this podcast episode is really special because this is the first ever VODcast of this podcast. All the other podcast episodes have been through the audio of either my phone, through my Turtle Beach headset, or just audio from this microphone in general. Well, this is the first time I'm going to have a video of this on my YouTube channel known as the Taylor the Japanaholic. So I'm a little nervous because I'm tending, whenever I speak, I usually just tend to look around my surrounding areas to just, try to keep myself intact of what the topic I'm trying to speak of. But now I have to look at a camera. And, I don't have the greatest looking studio. You can probably see, in the background on the video that I still have some, messes. And, including this little area over here is a big old mess. And so is over here. My room is not the cleanest thing in the entire world. And it's not the most professional thing. But it's still technically my podcast studio. So I'm going to have to go with it either way. And as you can see, I'm not really wearing the most professional t-shirt in the world. But this is a good band. So listen to them, giving them a free shout out. But other than the fact that you can see a good old Japanese workbook in the video, and the fact that you can also see my phone, but it's on Do Not Disturb. I hope so. Today, I actually do have a topic that I've been really wanting to talk about for the past couple of weeks. And this one is an anime-related topic that I want to talk about. Just recently, I just got done rewatching a show, which I actually recorded some clips of it, and they should go up on my channel here shortly soon. In fact, I think part 1's already up, if I remember correctly. But I watched just recently, I don't know if I'll pull up pictures on the video or not. I'll probably just leave it the way it is. I don't know. Who knows what I'll do for the video. Like I said, I'm not the greatest with VODcast. I used to do them back then with OtakuCast, back when that was a thing, but that editing process was so long. So I'm just going to not really do much editing, if at all. Excuse me. But let me continue on. I just got done recently watching Ao-chan Can't Study. I watched the English dub because I just, last year watched it while it was airing. It was probably one of the first shows I was watching while it was during its airing time. I used to watch anime, that was already completed or whatever, but this one was one of the very few shows that I started to watch that was airing at the time of, it was being uploaded. And just recently they came out with the English dub, and, personally, my preference is I watch English dubs after I've watched the sub. Just because if I've already seen the sub, I probably want to hear it in the dubbed, or maybe, I don't know. It's just my preference that I prefer subs over dubs, but I don't say that dubs are the worst thing in the world, okay? In fact, I lean more towards 60 subs, 60% dubs, 40%, or 60% subs, 40% dubs. So it's not really 50-50, but I lean more towards subs. I know there's people who like to say they will never listen to a dub, or they only listen to dubs. I don't care about your preferences, okay? You're a person, I'm a person, we're all human, we have different taste and stuff. It just so happens that mine is more 60-40, whereas you're probably 70-30, or possibly more on the dub side, who knows? But anyway, I watched the dub just a few days ago, and it begged me this question. Is rewatching an anime better than watching it the first time? Do you fall more in love with the series after rewatching a series that you've already seen? And a lot of people will immediately say oh, well, if you've already seen the series once, no need to go back to it again because you already know what's going to happen. You could probably just watch another new series that you haven't already seen. But this is where my answer is, it's better to rewatch animes in terms of how much you love the anime series. Okay, as a result. Because after rewatching Ao-chan Can't Study for the second time, this time being the dubbed, I fell more in love with the series itself than I did the first time I watched it. Because when I first watched it, I just thought it was one of those series that I just felt like it was going to be forgettable after a few months of watching. Okay? And then I rewatched it and I was like, man, this is actually quite a wholesome show. If you have not seen Ao-chan Can't Study, I recommend it. Because it is a very wholesome show, very, very hilarious. Like, comedic romance show that is more on the teenager side of things. Okay? I wouldn't watch this if you were younger than 16 or 18, in fact. But I still recommend watching it. One of my favorite shows out of the spring 2019 season that came out. But after rewatching it, I fell more in love with the series because of the fact that I was like, wow, rewatching it again, it made me remember why I love this series so much, but it also made me have more reasons to love this series, okay? And I thought about this a couple hours after watching the last episode, which, unfortunately, that series is super short, both in the manga and in the TV adaptation. 12 episodes, 12 minutes each episode. It's a very short show. I blazed through that series, which is a sad thing to say because it's kind of like Camp with how fast it was. Okay, Camp was 3 minutes, whereas Ao-chan Can't Study was 12 minutes, but still, it was short. Okay, and I'm not a big fan of short series. Okay, because it's like as soon as interest has peaked for me, series ends. And it's like, God. It's like, really? Okay. But then, like, I started asking the question, it's like, are there other anime series that I could probably lean towards this, like, question and answer, lean the same answer towards? It's like, what if I decided to rewatch Steins Gate, or rewatch Toradora, or K-On!, or Yasuga no Sora? Okay, what if I wanted to rewatch those? Would I fall in love with the series even more watching it the second time? Or is it better to just not waste my time again with the series? Or dedicate my time to that series? Because a lot of people will say this if they've seen Steins Gate, that they wish they could go back into this series blind. Because of the fact that it's like, everything that comes after the 12th episode of the series hits you like a bullet train. And it is incredible. The series itself is incredible. I don't need to explain why it's incredible. Okay, if you can make it past the first 12 episodes, like very like calm and stuff like that, those final 12 episodes and the second season make you want to cry, let me tell you. Or at least flip the hell out for several minutes at a time. But with Steins Gate, I see it as one of those shows where it's like, you can rewatch it, but I don't think you'll like it more than I don't think you'll find it more memorable watching it the second time. This is just my personal opinion. It could change between everybody else, because like I said before, everybody's a different person, everybody has different taste. But personally, it's like, if you watch something the first time, and it just grabs you by like the head, the neck, and your interest levels are like top of the level peak, okay, it is not easy to recreate that watching it a second, a third, fourth, or fifth time, no matter how far like interval it is between, like, let's say you watched it the first time back in like 2017, and then you wait 2 more years and then watch it again. If the series is still on your mind, you're going to remember it, and you're not going to be able to recreate those same emotions that you would with watching it the first time. Now there are exceptions to this. Okay, a couple exceptions that I've noticed. Okay, is watching it with somebody else. I hate my microphone, sorry. Watching it with somebody else who has not seen the series before, in a way, helps determine that you would like the series more watching it a second time. Because I showed my buddy Brody, who I've had on this podcast before twice, we both discussed that I showed him the quintessential quintuplets and Domestic Girlfriend. Both of those series I've already watched once. Yeah, once. Okay, watching it a second time, I felt like I loved the series more, both of those series, because of the fact that I had Brody with me, who also shared his thoughts and opinions and other stuff like that. If you could get what I'm trying to say here, it's that it depends on your situation from watching it the second time compared to the first time you're watching the series. I'm hoping I'm making sense while talking about this. But another example is like Eurocamp. Okay, a slow burner show that it's kind of like K-On! Where it's like there's no real purpose of the series. It's just a series to feel comfortable with. Can you label an anime comfortable? Because, well, Eurocamp's one of them. I mean, actually, you can't see the title of that one. Whoops. Hold on. It's upside down. Why am I doing this during the episode? There we go. Dang it. I got that at Comic-Con, by the way. It's a nice figure, but yeah. Anyway, continuing on. But Laid Back Camp is definitely a comfy anime. But this is like one of the series where not only can you watch it more than once and, you'll feel the same emotion because there's nothing really that, jerks your emotion or makes you in a way like Steins Gate where it's like, calm and then intense. It's very intense, serious, drama, romance, everything. It's not like that. It's just calm all throughout the series. And with that, even if you watch it a second or a third or a fourth time, probably 7 or 8 times, you'll end up loving the series just as much as you've seen it the first time because of the fact that you know what's going to happen, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing that you know what's going to happen. Okay? Now, there are series where if you watch it a second time, you just won't feel the same emotion. Or you won't have that feeling of, satisfaction watching it more than once. Some series are just made to be seen once and then talked about, but honestly, other than just recommending it, you really don't want to watch it again because you probably don't want to dedicate the time to watching it again. Probably just want to dedicate the time to watch another series that you plan on watching. Kind of me in a way because it's like I love a lot of series, but I rather not. If I had the choice between rewatching that like a specific series, let me choose an example. K-On! I would probably rewatch K-On!, but let me just use that show as an example. But you use a show like K-On!, I have to rewatch this show, or I could go dedicate my time to watching a brand new show that I could possibly talk about in a future episode of a podcast. Or just, just go into a new story, new characters, new animation, that sort of stuff. I don't know. Some people may rewatch the show because, they probably want to have a calm experience, or they probably just want to, take a break and not have to deal with, putting together pieces of a brand new story or something like that. But most people, myself included, would probably take the time to watch the new anime series if they're given the opportunity to. Whether they have the time to watch all of the series in one night or a few nights, that sort of stuff, okay? I would probably go with the new series rather than rewatching a series that I've already seen a few times, okay? And like I said before, it really all depends on the mood you're in and also like your taste and preferences of animes and stuff like that. But the main question that I was trying to ask is, if you watch a series more than once, can you fall in love with it even more the second time or the third time that you rewatch the show? Or will that love for the series from the first time you watched it, can that be beat or can that not be beat? There are some series, like I said before, where I don't care how many times I've seen the show. I don't care how many times I've, known the ending or the outcome of a certain arc. If I rewatch the show, okay, there's sometimes where I would think I would love the series more after rewatching it a second or a third time compared to, a few shows where it's the opposite of that. where it's like, okay, I've seen Steins Gate once, and I don't know if I could repeat the emotions from the first time. If anything, it's like, I'll go back into like the first 12 episodes. It's like, well, these first 12 episodes are going to be something, knowing that all this is going to be taken back. And they're all going to regret this decision in the next like 10 fucking months or whatever. It's just going to be them battling with this timeline and craziness. It's like, I already know what's going to happen with Steins Gate. But if I rewatched it, will I still love it? I mean, yeah, but probably it'd stay the same as I watched it the first time. I mean, compared to like something like with Ao-chan Can't Study, where I watched it the first time, and then I forgot about it, and then I rewatched it again, and this time I fell more in love with the series. And because of that, it made me think, if I rewatched a couple other anime series that I've only seen once, like Toradora, like the Konosuba series, both season 1 and season 2, because I've only seen them once. What if I watched those? Would I fall even more in love with the series, or just say, yeah, still the same amount of love for the series? That would depend on my mood, and like I said, there's exceptions rather of this rule or this question, depending on the mood, the situation you're in, just that sort of stuff. Okay, if you decide to rewatch an anime series just to watch it in a way, you may end up falling more in love with the series than you think, because what makes a good anime series is rewatchability. Okay, if you can watch it the first time and say, all right, I can rewatch this again and again and again, and either fall more in love with the series or still love the series to the point where I can't get burnt out with this series. That makes a good anime series. And there's plenty of examples of this because of the fact that many people still talk about many of these anime series to this day, no matter how old they are, whether they be from the 80s, 90s, or the early 2000s. The biggest example is Haruhi Suzumiya, of course. But, if you could rewatch an anime series and be all like, this has me interested, even though I've seen this 7 times, 8 times, 20 times, 100 times. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen it, it still has my interest levels at a high level, okay? That's what makes a good anime series, okay, in terms of like television-wise. For mangas, it's kind of a different story between these. Because with mangas, since there's so many mangas available to the world, because most of these volumes here that I have on my stack here, there's probably like a good 100 volumes combined just from here in the series, like Laid Back Camp, Old Maidens in Your Savage Season, New Game, just to name off a few in the list in the pile here. But since there's so many of these, it's difficult for anybody to pick up a manga, read the entire catalog, and be all like, I'll reread it again. Because most people, after reading an entire manga catalog, probably want to go and venture into another manga catalog that they've never read before and end up reading that. And there are people who will reread stuff later down the line. But what I'm trying to say is that it's easier to rewatch an anime series a lot and still love the series for what it is, compared to doing that same thing with mangas, because there's so many mangas available, no matter if it's physical copies or digital copies. But my point still stands as, you can still read mangas, a manga series 5 times and still love the series, if not even more love, give more love to the series by supporting its creator or something like that. Honestly, a few examples in my book, okay, because I've rewatched a lot of shows, and the one that stands out to me, other than Ao-chan Can't Study, for me personally, is the Atoribotsi series, because I've seen this series. It's in a way the same story as Ao-chan Can't Study. I watched it when it was first airing last year, and I thought it was a cute show, an amazing show, and I recommended it a ton of times. But then I rewatched it a few months ago, okay? And it reminded me why I love this show. It reminded me that, the reason why I recommended this series to a bunch of people, and, even had a Nako profile picture on my Twitter, which, at the Japanaholic 1, if you don't know. But it's because of the fact that the anime is relatable and it's cute, okay? C2C did a good job with that show, okay? Even if it is never going to get a second season, okay? But it's another one in the category of I loved watching this series more after rewatching it than I did with watching it the first time. So, and if you have like something along the lines of what I just read out, like if you love the series more after rewatching it, let me know, because I'm curious to see what people like in terms of anime, even after rewatching a few shows. Now, is it possible, let me ask this real quick, is it possible to hate a show more watching it again? Like, you were better off not watching it again. I'm pretty sure there are some instances with other people. Me personally, no. Okay? Anytime I rewatch a show, I usually end up liking it more often than not. I've said this jokingly a few times that I plan on rewatching Citrus. No, I'm not. If you catch me on Twitter rewatching Citrus, please, for the love of God, find a way to stop me, because I never want to watch that series again or read it. And I could probably explain my distaste far down the line. Probably the next few weeks now that I say that. But, there's many times, I bet there's many people who would say, like, they were better off not rewatching a specific series, because it either A, wasted their time, or B, they ended up not liking the series, or C, they just felt like they could have spent that time watching a different series instead of watching ones that they've already seen. So, like I said, everybody has different experience, everybody has different personalities and tastes. It just depends on who you are as a person itself. But I just wanted to come on this podcast today and, just ask this question and give a little bit of insight as to what I thought as somebody who rewatched a few anime series and loved it more than the first time I saw it. And I'm not much of a rambling guy, okay, about just one topic, but I did feel like rambling today about this one question that I've had in my head for like 24 hours now. And you could probably see it on the video, but I am kind of tired. Okay, I've been running on very little amount of sleep lately. That's a bad thing. Summer's here, I think, and yeah. Unfortunately, my sleep schedule is getting screwed up again. Thanks, work, as I've been working lately, so I haven't had time to really edit videos, make videos, including the podcast. But possibly a VODcast could come out every month or two, every once in a while, because actually I kind of do like the setup of a VODcast. But the reason why I don't do them personally anymore is because they take way too much time to set up, way too much time to edit. I just prefer a typical podcast episode, not so much of a VODcast. But if you want to see more VODcast-style episodes, let me know, because I think they could do a little bit better in terms of like views and that sort of stuff. Because people probably like to see like the actual facial reactions if they are on YouTube, rather than just audio itself. But like I said, I don't have the most professional setup. You can clearly tell just by looking in the background and looking over here. But I'm not sure how long this episode is. I think it's only like 20 to 30 minutes. I'm not sure. But I'm going to leave it off here. It could be a short episode. I don't know. I can't see the timer from here. But I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of the Japanaholic podcast. Before I quickly leave, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's supported this series so far. Even though it's been quite a rough ride for the past few weeks and months due to, not going to name it off, but I've been wanting to do a long-term podcast for several years now, and just recently I felt more and more confident about a podcast, so now I'm starting to do a podcast that's actually starting to get a little somewhere. If you want to continue supporting this podcast, check it out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. I can name off a bunch that this podcast is currently sitting on in terms of like podcast websites. Go to those websites, leave like a follow, leave like a rating, and that sort of stuff. If you do enjoy like the YouTube video, like the VODcast, let me know how that works, because I actually kind of like doing VODcast. But like I said before, they're a hassle. So that's really much all I can say from that. I don't know. I do know though, in 2 weeks, I have a very special episode coming out about a specific anime series. Okay. It'll be another anime discussions. And I will not name it off until next week. Okay. Because I want to wait until the entire series has been completed. And it's just so happens that next Wednesday is the final chapter of the manga. And I'm going to read the last few chapters of the manga and give my thoughts and opinions on that said series. But I'm not going to name it off until the end of the episode next week. So if you guys do want to know that series, possibly check out the next episode. Who knows? But thank you all so much for tuning in to the Japanaholic podcast. I will be back same time next week for another podcast episode. Whether that be a vodcast, whether that be a podcast, who knows? But thank you all so much for tuning in. My name is Taylor, the Certified Japanaholic, and I am signing off. Take care and have a good day, everybody.